Good afternoon, and this is our recording that will help you at your own time when you are able to log on and read and interact. Therefore, today we are going to look at understanding ethics from a Christian perspective, and this is our first chapter. You need to note the following: that this study guide is provided on Alpha platform. Second, the course outline and any other required information is available within the study guide online. Our objectives are that at the end, you should be able to define ethics as a lifestyle and as the outworking of worldview. You need to think about also about your own ethics and lifestyle, and begin to describe why you live and behave the way you do, especially as a professional different from other professionals. Thirdly, you need to be prepared for the format of the class and the way it will proceed. We begin introducing ourselves to ethics. So this chapter will introduce 1. The concept of ethics. Secondly, the purpose of this class. You might be wondering, therefore, what Christian ethics is and why you should take it as a class, especially when you study professional ethics and you are not a Christian. What is ethics? Ethics comes from the Greek word ethos. It refers to the character or custom of people or place. It is an ethos you inhabit, or you live with a certain character and custom. It leads you to believe certain things, why they are right or wrong, with good reasons. So in this case, in our class, we are not giving anyone ethics as something new. We are creating awareness of who we are, when and how we can apply ethics. Note that ethics is more than imparting information. In this class, you must understand that ethics is not something you learn, but something you do, and how and who you are. This class is an opportunity to think about ethics, about yourself, the way you live and interact with the world around you. Ethics is not a list of rules and regulations. It is principles or guidelines which help in determining wrong and right for us as individuals. It helps you as a professional or a community member to live and work with others. In other words, ethics is not lived outside a community of people. The principles shape our behaviors, expressing our purpose, meaning, and aim of our lives. Ethics and values or ideals or principles. Values are related to human conduct. What you say in the hearing of the people and animals is understood differently. For example, values would include truth, integrity, honesty, responsibility, character, and love. Aware of these principles of values, UCU has attached what we call core values, 5 of them, and therefore it is a basis for moral behavior relationships standards. Christian ethics is only viable with an absolute standard, and our absolute standard is God. As the Bible says that we have been created in the image and likeness of God, and that is our standard. So to understand ethics, African tradition, which we say habit or practice, is a good starting point for us who are Africans, have been born African and lived an African way of life. This is a tradition that crosses borders of all African generations. This lesson will help us think about, for example, moral or right life in light of African tradition, e.g., homosexuality. Secondly, specific contributions of our societies, communities, and families. We cannot study ethics without relevant tools, like one going to garden to dig without tools to till the land. And therefore for us, one of the major tools of studying ethics is the Bible. This is defined as a tool of ethics, for it helps us know, one, who God is, the absolute standard; two, who He wants us to be, the absolute people. So in this case, we want to see what this course covers. In the course of our semester, we'll be looking at African ethical system. Then we look at biblical ethics, focusing on the Old and New Testaments. We look at classical ethics, modern ethics, and postmodern ethics. This will take us to look at what we call professional ethics. Then we look at sexuality and the family, which are part of the core ethical systems of humanity, families, and communities. So it will take us to look at church and society. Then we look at wealth and poverty. Then we look at war and peace. And these will constitute our major study in ethics, and we'll be relating each of these to one of the other so that we can find the place of Christian ethics. Tips for navigating each lesson. The first half of the course will introduce certain issues and give you resources for thinking about the topics of the second half, like what does the Bible say? Secondly, what would traditional African response be to what the Bible says? Thirdly, what can Western philosophers help me or us think about ethics? Some content of these lessons will help you put some meaning on things you already know, believe, or do. This is because we often absorb or take in things or do them unconsciously. We do not even know. It is like the foods that we find on the market. You may find, like in a university setting, excuse me, you will find that some people live a kind of life in terms of dressing, in terms of speech, in terms of foods and other things. And we begin interacting with them without knowing whether they are good for us or not. So we do them without knowing about them. We cannot even describe them. not until we see them clearly presented. Some assignments might challenge you to think in ways you never thought before. For example, if it is a kind of dressing, a kind of food, you may find that in the course of our interaction, you'll get challenges to think in a different way, whether it can be positive or negative, which you have never thought before. So some of these ideas might be useful to be adopted as your own, or you might find them not convincing. Not that everything we learn or we see or hear will be convincing to be put into practice, but all these experiences are useful to us and to you. If some topics seem to be familiar to you, return to them and think through deeply how they might apply in a different way. Find out why some other people believe and apply them. Do not dismiss what seems difficult or foreign to you, not until you are well informed about it. So, why should we take this class? You are doing a course in law or healthcare practice or other programs. You may ask a question: what do Christian ethics have to do with me? Among Africans, all their life is interconnected. You are not alone. You don't live it alone. You don't do it alone. You find family life, spiritual life, and professional life, like law or healthcare. You find recreation and other commitments are all interconnected and affect each other. A lawyer will affect a teacher, will affect a priest, will affect a farmer. Vis-a-vis, a farmer may affect the life of a lawyer. The priest needs a healthcare practitioner, and so on. We are therefore interconnected or interrelated. Although you are one person, you are many things. As you are a lawyer or any other professional, you are either a farmer, a parent, a teacher. As among many ways, you live outside your profession. At the end of the day, when you leave your office as a lawyer, when you go back home, you find yourself a father. You find yourself a husband. You find yourself engaging in farm work. And the language you speak at office is not the language you speak at home. You are a community member. You involve yourself in community way of life. So you are many things, although you are one. If you do not sleep well at night, for example, or you traveled and you are tired, it might affect your performance during the day. You become sleepy, you become tired. Though you cannot help, be all of who you are all the time. Uganda Christian University contributes to your overall growth and education by adding value. Thus the slogan, a complete education for a complete person. You need the spiritual, the physical, and the psychological. No ethics, no complete person. If you are set out with only technical skills to perform one kind of work well, and you neglect other areas of life and learning, e.g., customer care, which is one of the central systems in business, then you lose the purpose of life. Employers want good people, not just good technical workers. The purpose of this course, therefore, is that UCU wants to contribute to your overall life and character. offering you resources for your wider development as a person and member of your society, helping you become a better worker and follower or emulator of Jesus Christ, our model. Therefore, at the end of this lecture, we have assignment questions that we can share and ask ourselves and see whether we have understood and were able to answer some of these questions. One of them is that you need to discuss the meaning of ethics. What does ethics mean? Secondly, using examples from your own academic program or profession, like law, and any other field where you may find yourself, explain the relevance of ethics as a discipline at Uganda Christian University. 3. Ethics is more than a set of rules and regulations. Do you agree or you disagree? Thank you for tapping in and listening. It is up to you now to use this resource at your own time.